it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
Greg, thank you so much for making time to speak with me, especially because we're in the holiday season. It's a busy time, and with yourself as a fitness instructor, you know that around this time of the year, everybody's got their New Year's resolutions. And one of the big things that seems to always occur is people want to get back to the gym. People want to be fit. They have dreams of, losing that weight and stuff. I figured you're probably the right person to speak to about this because there are sometimes, this is a good idea, but sometimes there could be some misconceptions about trying to lose weight. For somebody in your business, what do you find of one of the some of the problems when people are deciding to get back into fitness, especially if they haven't been doing it for a long time?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Rudy. It's a pleasure speaking with you, as always. You know what? The biggest challenge people have when they try and get back into it after not doing it for a long time is too much, too soon, and they want to make it a drastic and extreme lifestyle change immediately, and it's almost unsustainable. And so they set themselves up for failure right off the bat. And it's so much better if you start off slow and set small, attainable goals that you can reach so you can feel a little bit of success every couple of weeks, as opposed to that one great big giant goal of losing a bunch of weight or getting back into shape and having those little setbacks along the way. So I would say the best thing to do is start off slow, set small goals for yourself, and just enjoy the process and understand that it is a process and it's not a quick fix.
Well, let's try to break it down a little bit because let's look at one aspect, eating habits. There are people who eat in different times of the day. There are people who love to go to those fast food restaurants, and just, eating snacks and eating in between and just eating. And then as the new year rolls around, they decide, okay, I'm going to change all that and I'm going to try to eat healthy. Give me some of the good concepts of this and, of course, how it can also work against you, too, in your goals in losing weight and getting fit.
Well, one of the challenges people have, or the first thing that they try and do when they want to make that lifestyle change is they start denying themselves the things that they love, and they cut everything out completely. And let's say if you're a chocoholic, you just love chocolate, and you decide on January 1st, I'm never going to eat chocolate again. Well, you're denying yourself something that brings you pleasure, and it's going to be really hard to maintain that. So the best thing to do is, again, start off slow. So if you eat chocolate every single day, how about eating chocolate every second day? So you can reward yourself on the second day for not having chocolate the day before. Taking little tiny steps along the way, so you can feel that little bit of success, goes so much longer in actually changing your lifestyle. Because, again, it's not about making that drastic quick fix and then going back to the way things are. If you're serious about changing the way you eat, the way you exercise, the way you feel about yourself, it needs to be a wholesale lifestyle change. And asking yourself to do that all at once is really not fair to yourself, and you're kind of setting yourself up for failure.
What you just said, though, does that help, too, if you, say, have a partner or family that, they're not on a diet, they're going to eat normally, they're going to eat what they're used to eating, and then you have to sit there and see them eating that, the stuff that you want to crave. Again, can that work against you? And also, when you're going out to a restaurant, do you have, what kind of choices can you make, especially these days now that they've got the Beyond Meat that's been out there now?
Right. And so what I like to do, because I don't want to deny myself the opportunity to go to a restaurant. And if I know I'm going to be going with some people and they're going to be enjoying themselves and eat chicken wings and having a couple of beer or whatever, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So what I like to do is I'll try and reduce my calories throughout that day. I know that I'm going out that night and I'm going to consume more calories in a meal than I typically would. So I'll make sure I have a very, very light breakfast, and I'll keep my lunch nice and light, maybe just a salad or something like that, and know that I'm going to get those calories back at the end of the day, but I'm going to be able to do it without feeling the guilt, and know that wake up the next day, I'm going to go back to the way I've been doing it. the two things that I can't stress enough is, A, don't guilt yourself. Don't feel bad because you maybe have fallen off the wagon a little bit. If you've been on some kind of strict eating regimen and one day you just cave in and you go and grab a burger at MacDonald's or something like that, don't stress out about it. Don't beat yourself up about it. The next day, start all over again. It's all good. And the second thing is, just don't deny yourself anything. Just do it in moderation, like anything else. A little bit every now and then is okay.
Let's talk about now the second half, going to the gym. Number one, can you lose weight without going to the gym or some sort of workout or something that can get your body motivated? Can you lose weight without doing it?
Absolutely. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need lots of fancy equipment. You don't need any of that stuff. It's the number one thing about working out and exercise is consistency. So it doesn't matter what it is you're doing, as long as you're doing it on a regular and consistent basis, you will see results. And again, it's all about the effort that you put in, the amount of time that you put in, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time. 2 or 3 good workouts a week. Like I said, at home, body weight exercises, some kind of cardio, you'll be fine. Weight loss comes from 2 different ways. Either we're burning more calories than we're consuming, or we are consuming less calories than we have been. So the combination of the two, if you do manage to reduce your calorie load a little bit and you increase the amount of calories that you're burning, no matter how you're burning those calories, then you are going to see a reduction in weight and you're going to start to feel a little bit of success, and that's going to help motivate you.
Speaking of motivation, is that where a personal trainer like yourself comes in? The motivation, and also whatever exercises or anything that person is doing, you can show how to do it properly, because the last thing you want to do is watching something, say maybe on a video on television, thinking, I can do that, but you're not doing it correctly and eventually could injure yourself.
Not only could you injure yourself, if you are doing exercises, clearly when it comes to using weights, if you're not doing the movement properly, you will eventually either hurt yourself or develop a chronic injury or something along those lines. And doing the exercises properly is paramount. And we always stress it's more about the form than it is about the amount of reps, right? So, I mean, if you've been asked to do 12 reps of a certain exercise, and by rep number 10, your form starts to fail, squeezing that last 2 is asking for trouble. So as soon as your form starts to fail, that's when you know you're done that exercise. That is very, very important to prevent injuries. And a personal trainer can provide that motivation for you. Knowing that you've made this commitment to a personal trainer is a step in the right direction of helping you keep yourself honest and accountable.
I want to get into what you can actually provide, but, something just crossed my mind because I see this all the time on social media, especially on Instagram. You have people who are showing themselves, videotaping themselves, doing exercises. I've actually spoken to other personal trainers, and a lot of them say that what you see, they're not always doing it correctly, and that's something that could be negative or hurt against you. Do you agree or disagree?
I fully agree with that. The social media personal trainer, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there who really know what they're doing and they're offering great advice. But there's an awful lot of people out there who are not offering good advice, and the exercises that you're doing, we like to call them the Instagram exercises or the YouTube exercises. We like to stress the simple and the basic and the good old-fashioned type exercises that are tried and true. There are some exercises out there that not quite sure where they may have germinated from, but they look complicated. They look difficult to perform, and then the person who is doing them isn't quite doing them properly, and then you're just asking for trouble because now you just have someone who's at home who has never really exercised before, and now they're trying to emulate something that they've seen on social media, and they are asking for trouble.
So let's break this down now. As you as a trainer, for somebody who hasn't been in the gym for years, who's overweight, maybe older, bad knees, bad back, but they want to lose that weight? What can you find?
Well, so the best thing to do is, first of all, they need to start slow. Like I said, we're looking for the overall lifestyle change, and that process can take as long as it needs to take. We're not looking at changing your life overnight or in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It needs to be a long, slow process. And like I mentioned earlier, you start off with a small, slow goal. So if you're not going to the gym at all, your goal for the next 4 weeks, go to the gym twice a week. Work in a bit of a sweat, but just go to the gym twice a week for the next 4 weeks. At the end of those 4 weeks, if you have succeeded that goal, then that's awesome. Good for you. Let's move on to a new goal. Let's try to bump it up to 3 times a week. All right, now we're at the gym 3 times a week. That's awesome. We're working out for 20 minutes 3 times a week. Let's bump it up to 30 minutes 3 times a week. And it's setting those types of little tiny goals that show you that you can do it. And we're not asking you to make these drastic changes. We're not asking you to come in and deadlift 225 pounds within the first week of being back in there. You need to take things into account of how good are your knees, how good are your hips, what type of mobility do you have right now, how do we increase that mobility. We have to look at range of motion. What is your current range of motion? Let's try and increase your range of motion, okay? If you can only lift your arms slightly over your head, then that's another goal. Let's see if we can get our arms so it's rotating all the way back. You know, it's all of these little tiny goals that we look for and that we set for you that can give you that success, and it's going to give you better overall health.
Now let's take the other side. You have the person who's worked out a long time. They want to make some changes on how they do their workouts, and they hire somebody like yourself. What do you do for them, if you want to call them the elite athlete? What do you do for them?
You know what we will do is we do an assessment on them, and we try and figure out exactly where they are, and then we need to find out exactly what their goals are. What is it they're doing now that they're not happy with, or what is it they have accomplished that they would like to improve upon? And then we have to build around that. And we have worked with people like that. We've worked with young athletes, and we try and figure out what's specific to their sport or what's specific to their goals that we can do to help increase that. I mean, if they're already motivated enough to be coming to gym on a regular basis, and they know how to work out, and they know what a good program is, I mean, that makes it so much easier for us. And now it's more us helping them motivate themselves to get past whatever plateau they might find themselves on.
Well, you know what? It sounds like you've got the answers for everything. So there are going to be a lot of people who want to get in touch with you, and hopefully you can be able to work with them. How do they get in touch with you?
Website is Greg MacDonald. That's GregMacDonald, Greg MacDonald Fitness .ca. And also I work out of a sports performance facility called Prototype Sports Performance. We have a program called PSP Well, where we work with our adult clients, and we design programs for them, and we coach them. We are always there coaching them, training them, and working with them on a regular basis to make sure nobody is ever left alone in the gym, just set off by themselves to go and do their workout. Someone is always there coaching them, motivating them, having them answering questions and things like that. So, and if anyone is interested, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is gregmacdonaldfitness@gmail.com.
Before we go, again, any advice that you want to just give out there to the masses who are deciding that New Year's resolution, it's time to get back and be fit?
Do you know what? The best advice, and I've said it numerous times throughout this conversation, is, you know what? Take it slow. Do not beat yourself up. If the goal is to make it to the gym twice a week for the first month, and you only make it once for one of those weeks, please don't obsess about it and beat yourself up and go, I failed again. You know what? The next day is the start of a brand new day, and if you can make it to the gym that day, that's fantastic. But you know what? Think of it more of a long term than a short-term process, and you're going to be just fine. And start small, start slow, set small goals for yourself, and develop the habit before you worry about what the overall impact is going to be. Make it a habit, and then everything else will fall into place.
Better, faster, stronger.